Well, The Perfect Getaway. You two saw it.
Who?
Yeah.
Us?
Did y'all make the perfect getaway from that movie?
Yeah. As you know, this is a movie where white people, again, go where they should not. So me and Leon didn't go to the movie.
What's up with this thing going on right now with like films that are about beautiful paradise spots where killers lay in wait? It's like obviously the tourist industry is not behind this market.
Oh no! Like what was that other movie, Touristas?
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of these things, and it's like
Hostel
okay.
and...
So when this started, which I didn't even know what it was about, I was like, great, another movie about beautiful, wonderful place that I won't get to go now because my girlfriend will see this and go,
I ain't gonna die.
Yeah, because it's the wholly remote, unattainable island of Hawaii.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's what it is it's a couple who have just gotten married. They're in Hawaii. They decide to go on a trail hike, and there's a remote side of one of the mountains of one of the islands that you could walk around the trail and get to a beach that's so hard to get to that there are very few people there. So it's really a perfect spot to go and hang out for a day or so.
The way this movie was pitching it, I thought they went to Skull Island or some shit where King Kong was.
No,
it sounds like once you get there, there's Ricardo Montalban and a midget.
The problem is right when they get on the trail, they find out that a newlywed couple has just been murdered on one of the other islands, and they think that the murderers are still around and that they're looking for a man and a woman.
Which is like, it's not like the population of these islands is exactly tiny. I mean, statistically, there's no reason you should be worried at that point, especially when you're like the most remote place. It's like, even the killers, when you look and see what they have to go through to get there. If I was a serial killer, I'd be like, fuck that. I'm just hanging around the hotel lobby.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happens is you've got these characters. They're walking through the jungle. They're on the trail.
And it's Cliff and Sydney are their names, played by Steve Zahn and the chick that kills zombies.
Mila
Jovovich. Chick that kills zombies. She just changed her name to that.
The chick that kills zombies. That's your new name. Go ahead.
So Mia Jovovich and Steve Zahn, they're walking around through the jungle, and they keep running into couples. And so the question is who are the killers? And you know that one of these couples they meet have to be the killers, because otherwise what would be the point of the fucking movie?
And the script knows that you know this and plays around a lot with, because the character Steve Zahn plays, Cliff, is a screenwriter. And so there's a lot of back and forth between him and one of the other couple, the male half one of the couples, Timothy Oliphant, who
so it is Timothy Oliphant in this. I thought that was
keeps asking him about scripts, and they're kind of teasing each other, and they keep talking about red herrings and stuff like that. So it's trying to be all kind of meta about it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's trying to throw the audience off the trail while complimenting them of being cinema savvy at the same time.
Isn't Timothy Oliphant like the new Max von Sydow? Like whenever he's in something, you know, he's the bad guy.
Not necessarily.
Definitely not.
He's been in several films where they've hinted that he's the bad guy, and he's not the bad guy.
He's got this weird quality of being the likable bad boy thing. Like he is he's trouble, but at the same time you like him anyway.
You know, it crossed my mind, that it crossed your mind, that we're the ones. Me and Gina.
The ones who...
It's okay, Cliff. That's your screenplay writer mind working its magic, spinning every which way. You gotta think like that.
What? The killers?
The gruesome twosome. Possible title number 2.
You know, I think your mind's spinning, Nick.
So you think it's just a coincidence we were there at the same time, on Oahu?
Just like Sydney and I were there.
Just a lot of people on Oahu when the murders happened. That's the way you look at it.
That's exactly how I look at it, Nick.
Good. So it would make a hell of an Act 2 twist.
The problem is that because it's so meta, it kind of hints at the fact that they're much smarter than they want to let on. As far as a script goes, so you can actually figure out the big mind-bending twist of the film. Which I did really early in. I figured out. Now the thing is the twist makes sense. In fact, it was really funny because Cyrus leaned over and he said, "What? That doesn't make any sense." And I said, "Yeah, no, it actually does. They've been working on it for the last hour."
Completely wrong. I sat there and thought about it. I said, "No, there's tons of stuff in here that makes no sense for that to have been that way at all."
Either way, the twist, it's there, and
it sucks.
I'm not. That's exact. The thing is you're either on board for this twist or you're not. And I was not a big fan of the twist. I don't think the twist sucks, but I'm not a big fan of it. However, immediately after the twist, rather than what you see in most films where they're like, we've just blown the audience's mind with a twist. We can coast to the end of the movie.
The end.
The end.
Finally, the movie starts.
The movie starts and gets really good.
Yes, exactly.
And all of it, a friend described it as it's like watching a game and knowing that the team is lost, and they make the Hail Mary pass, and you're like, no way he's going to catch it. And then he catches it, runs it in, and wins the game.
Because this whole thing, the first 2/3 of this is just coasting, kind of. I mean, these characters, they're likable enough, but even so, this is stuff, there's so much stuff you've seen a billion times before. You know they're playing with you, and you just don't care. The only thing to go by, really, is A, Timothy Olyphant, who's really charismatic and good in this role.
Yes.
And B, the cinematography of Hawaii, which is admittedly, especially in HD, just jaw-dropping. It's gorgeous.
But
then
then
it gets
Paul
to
Walker movie with Into the Blue.
Well, then you also had Jessica Alba's ass, which didn't hurt at all either.
It reminded me of Into the Blue, except it never got as cliche and over the top as Into the Blue.
Into the Blue was just dumb. This never gets into dumb per se. It's just we've seen it before. That's all. Until that last third, when all of a sudden it's like he said, "This is what I was saving up for," and it just goes hog fucking wild. You're thinking like the first Blood movie, like that kind of intense, really
really?
cool,
So
like lots of cinematography tricks that I've honestly haven't seen either David Toy or anybody else do before that work really well in a theater.
See, that's the twist. Rambo shows up.
There's
He's the killer.
what happens is it gets really tight. It gets really tense. They've switched everything around in the film to where now everything is laid out. And they allow characters to do some really wacky stuff. And then there's some gore effects, which are just really brutal, that like they hurt. They literally hurt. And it was just like, and you're constantly wincing at what's going on. And you really don't know how it's going to play out, because once the twist is gone, it's like anything goes, and you're like, shit, what is going to happen next?
Now I got the guy who directed this, David Twohy. He's the guy who directed Pitch Black,
Chronicles of Riddick, Below, and then of course The Arrival.
And I don't think anything can be more horrifying than the Chronicles of Riddick. So already this is a disappointment here, but no, it's this movie. It's so it seems like it is one of those things where you have couples, like these pretty couples, going someplace where they shouldn't go. So I mean, when they're going this place, they meet couples on their way in. The couples that they meet, are the couples going the opposite way?
No, no, it's not a place you shouldn't go. It's a place where people go all the time. In fact, you can get there by kayak or you can get there by trail, and it's a regularly hiked place, a regularly patrolled place. This is not, hey, we're going, past the road closed sign. We're going to the ruins. No, we're going to a regular vacation spot that just happens to be out of the way enough to where you can't get a police cruiser there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's not like Belloc is waiting for them to find the treasure so he can command the Indians to kill them, I mean, there's no big warning signs of a lost tribe. There are signs going, hey, watch out, falling rocks occasionally. That's
I like this. It's like the killer is amongst them. It's like they look at his map and he's like, hit the pool at 1, hit the buffet for at 4, at 7, kill every motherfucker around me. You really have a full day ahead of you, don't you? Yeah.
I'm looking at that, though. There's so many places in Hawaii you can see all that beauty, and they can bring you out there by helicopter. I'm just like, really? You're going to go through all that shit? There's like a point in the trail where anybody could easily slip and fall like several hundred feet to their death. You're like, there's no way they would send tourists on that trail. I'm sorry. There's just no way. It's like, okay, and there's no way any serial killer would go out there either.
Yeah, but what about that guy that had to cut his own hand off?
What guy had to cut his own hand
off?
Oh,
no. Well, he was out in the wilderness. He wasn't at a park. He was...
What are you talking about?
He's talking about the guy that went hiking alone and fell down the shaft and had his arm caught, and he had to cut his arm off with his knife.
His pocket knife.
Oh, that movie where that dude...
No, real life dude.
No, there's a movie based on the guy who went
They
hiking.
did a movie of that?
They did a movie about that.
What was it called? Dumbass, the movie?
It was called I'm Stupid. I had to cut my hand off for it.
It was Jackass 3, I think.
There's a reason they say don't go off the trail, okay?
Yeah.
And that real life story is that reason.
So
and
what
here,
you're saying
the
is-
trail itself is like, fuck that. We're heading back to the hotel and we're going to have some hors d'oeuvres and it's going to be nice.
Wait a minute, I'm not understanding what you're saying. At first you say, it's a place where anybody would hang out, but then you say like, no, you shouldn't go there. It's hard to get to.
I disagree with it. There's one spot where there's like a slippery rock and you can actually fall off.
It's like a foot thing over a waterfall with the several 100-foot drop and no guardrail. I want to see hovering people in midair with like nets if I'm going to get anywhere near something like that.
Having gone to places like this before, it's fairly common. It's not the safest thing in the world, and you definitely have to take care. But no, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this thing exists.
I don't want to see drops like that unless I'm at Disney World.
You know what? I'm willing to bet that if everyone out there listening to this placed bets right now, you would be the last person people would guess as the person who ended up hiking in a tropical location.
That's true. I would definitely be the last guy. And I would be the survivor, happy and fat, back at my hotel going, man, those guys got slaughtered like pigs.
In fact, that was my square.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My square in the pool.
Yeah, he would have ate us all. He would have showed up with blood on his lips.
I don't understand. You say your plane crashed out in the wilderness and you had to eat them to survive? Yep. But it's only been 6 hours.
I didn't want to take a chance.
The film actually saves itself and makes itself worth checking out just because of that last act. In fact, it's almost a movie that I kind of wish I watched on DVD and knew what was coming so that I could fast forward to that point and watch what was really cool.
Okay, now that brings a good question. Does that whole first 2/3, does it build you up, like sucker you in for the last third? Or could you enjoy it better by only watching the last
No,
third?
because really all the relevant character stuff that makes the ending powerful happens at the twist. It really, the entire movie, what this feels like is it feels like somebody had a really great third act in their head and then had to write a script to support that and supported it properly, but couldn't write it well enough to really drag us in and involve us and be as good as that last act.
There's an annoying part. There's a really annoying part right at the twist where they have to do the black and white 3.5 minute or so exposition sequence. Like, here's all the stuff you didn't see that explains how this makes sense. It's like, well, yeah, really? No, this still, I'm just getting bored with the exposition. Can we just get on with the chase, please? But once the chase starts, you're like, oh, it's great. No, the rest of the movies just feels kind of unnecessary. I mean, as those type of things go, it's better than most, I suppose, but so what? I mean, this is the very definition of a solid rental, really.
Really?
Yeah, because like I said, that last third makes it worth watching, but you know, the first two, you'd be mad you spent $7.
So, look, I guess everything is okay in the movie. We get good performances. The direction is fine. It's just that the story kind of stumbles a little bit. I guess the
it's
pacing
just kind of
of
dull for a lot of it.
It's people walking through the woods for an hour and a body count isn't piling up.
Well, by that point, you really do. I mean,
Yeah,
So
'cause
it's
people-
the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, people aren't dropping off. No, I wouldn't even compare it to the Blair Witch Project.
I mean, with
'cause the
real cinematography.
with real cinematography and real storytelling. But there isn't a body count mounting. It's just paranoia, and they want you to experience paranoia, but there's nothing to be paranoid about.
Look at that bush!
I kept
see
that as they're going, oh my God, what if they're the killers? What if they're the killers? I keep going, you know how many people are on these fucking islands? The killers are nowhere near you.
well, that's where the tension is. Anybody out of these hundreds could be the killer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe they want you to follow these people in the woods so you could become so annoyed by them by the third act that you wanted to see them die. And you're like, yes.
Yeah, maybe. If anything, I reached a point where it's like going, if those people are the killers, I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So what would you give it then?
Like I said, this is a solid rental.
Solid rental, huh?
I completely agree. It's a solid rental. It's one of those films that, if only the first two acts were better, it could have a run at being a really great thriller, but they're not. And I was really sitting there bored. It's the type of thing that I'd have more fun watching at home with a couple of friends, drinking a couple brews, and then when the shit gets crazy, enjoy the hell out of it.
That's so funny, man, because you guys sounded so at odds, and then you come back
You
and
sure
like,
did. It's like y'all were arguing against each other, and then you come to the
that
same
one
place.
point, you know. He didn't like the twist either. He just found it convincing. I found it completely unconvincing and didn't like the twist. So,
By the way, if I ever say let's go out to a retreat or to a resort, don't come with me because I've already thought this out. If that's the way I want to kill somebody, and I have thought about killing you all at one time, that's the way I do it. We all went hiking, and then he fell. All of them fell at the same time.
Why do I have the weirdest feeling this review is going to end with one or more of us dead?
I don't know why you have to go out to a resort. I'll do it here.
See, he's trying to be the killer again. He's always trying. Dun, dun, dun. Why can't Corey kill us for once?
Because he got me first.
Wait a minute, I never get to kill anybody.
That's true. To be fair, he's never killed anyone.
No, now let's change that. You have actually killed the ending to a movie for some people.
Oh.